Hey guys, welcome back. Brandon and Ethan here again. Today we're going to talk about the minor leagues rather than the major league team. We'll go through a couple of the Cubs' top prospects who have been playing well so far. Again, very early in the minor league season, of course, but it's always good to see, when the future of the team is performing well. So I think it's worth starting off with Pete Crow-Armstrong, the Cubs' top prospect. He's been playing well, and overall, obviously, we're hoping that he'll be up soon.
I'm curious to see what'll happen in the 2024 season with Pete Crow-Armstrong, especially because the Cubs called him up in the 2023 season at the end of the season. He didn't really get much play time. He was on the bench. When we did see him play, he was an asset to the Cubs, but again, we didn't see him play much. In this current season in the minor leagues, he's already gotten 2 home runs, which is a good sign. Again, he's our top prospect. Things are looking good right now. I'm curious to see once he actually gets the call up to the major leagues if we see major improvement. Um, Again, it's completely up in the air. What are your thoughts on it, Glick?
Uh, I guess what I'll say is, again, the adjustment level from AAA to the major leagues, that's the biggest jump. There's a reason why so many guys are sort of labeled like the quadruple A players because they just can't complete that jump. Pico Armstrong has a very high floor because he's a great defender. He should immediately become one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball the moment he's taking starts at Wrigley Field. He's also a great base runner. He's already got 5 stolen bases this season at AAA Iowa. So those two things, no matter what happens with him at the plate, those will be part of his profile. He has a very high floor because of it. Again, if the power development he's shown over the last couple of years is true, and he's a 15 to 20 homer a season guy, I mean, that's an all-star, perennial all-star kind of guy. If he's just sort of a 250 hitter, a little bit of power here and there, takes his walks, still a valuable guy to have at the bottom of the lineup, but his value will come from the defense. So I think that's sort of where the divide is, where the gap is for him. But again, having as high a floor as he does makes him valuable as a prospect.
So, Brandon, we all know that Pete Crow-Armstrong is a great center fielder. However, with Cody Bellinger and Michael Busch kind of taking up those spots right now, what do you think the timeline is for Pete Crow-Armstrong since he's still kind of stuck in the minor leagues right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Seiya Suzuki's hurt right now. Alexander Canario just came up, who we'll get to in a moment here. I would say that as long as Michael Busch is hitting and playing every day, and maybe Pete Armstrong will stay in the minors through May, June, while the Cubs let his bat develop a little bit more. Again, he's kind of flown through the minor league system last couple of years. So as a 22-year-old prospect, I really don't think there's much shame in him sort of being at AAA for a little bit longer. But look, should there be an injury, should Cody Bellinger need to slide over to first base for whatever reason, then I think Pete Armstrong's the next guy up from the minor leagues.
I kind of wanted to kind of piggyback off of that. We kind of already saw it with Justin Steele's injury, but when Justin Steele got taken out with his hamstring injury, we saw people like Javier Assad and Mark Leiter Jr. kind of and Shota Imanaga kind of take over kind of the mantle. And I think to have somebody in your back pocket like Pete Crow-Armstrong, who again is in the minor leagues right now, but who has seen game time in the major leagues, I think it's good to have somebody in your back pocket like that who is kind of going to be that asset and who has that skill already. Again, it kind of stinks for him that he's kind of sitting in the minor leagues waiting for that call up. But again, if an injury is to happen, I think he's the next person that they know he's the next person who will get the call if an injury is to happen for a first baseman like Michael Busch or an outfield or a center fielder like Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good point with the Steele injury because once Steele got hurt, Ben Brown came up and he's been great as a starting pitcher. So you're right that the Cubs have a lot of depth. They have a lot of top prospects. They have a top farm system in baseball. So again, I think seeing Pete Armstrong work his way to the majors organically would be great. But should something arise where he's needed, he's clearly. I won't say he's definitely ready, but again, his floor is so high that no matter what happens, he'll still be producing at the highest level.
Now, again, I'm going to do my classic transition here. So another player I kind of wanted to bring up with you is Alexander Canario. I mean, what a name on its own. What are your thoughts on Alexander Canario, considering he just got called up to the Cubs major leagues?
Yeah, He's, say Suzuki got hurt with an oblique injury, he's probably going to be out a month or so. At least that's the early timeline. Uh, Canario also got the call at the end of last season, played even less than Pete Crow-Armstrong, much to a lot of our chagrins. But I think, look, he's a big power bat. We know he can mash lefties. I personally want to see him play every day at right field right now. I just want to see what he's got against, opposing right-handed pitchers. We'll see if Craig Counsell gives him that kind of leeway. But he's an interesting prospect. He was well on his way a couple years ago to being a top 100 guy. He got hurt in a freak accident in winter ball, and he's sort of been working his way back since then. But he's got serious power, some of the best power in the Cubs' entire organization. And if he's healthy and if he looks good, he would be a great sort of fourth outfielder to have, before Pete Armstrong makes his way to the majors.
I think it's such a green flag too to see that he's getting called up to the Cubs kind of so early on in his career as a 23-year-old. He hasn't been in the minor leagues with the Cubs long, and to kind of have the Cubs say, "Hey, I think it's not to say they're taking a chance on him, but to say I think it's your time to shine so early on." I think it's nothing but green flags from here for Canario.
Yeah, I guess I'll just wrap up on him with the idea that again he was hurt bad in that winter ball accident, and the fact that he came back so quickly, shook off the rust so fast, and looks even to be 90% of the prospect he was before that happened is nothing short of really impressive on his part to rehab so aggressively. And so I agree. If he, at such a young age, if he can, prove to be a worthwhile sort of bench bat, maybe even draw a couple starts at DH or in the corners of the outfield, or maybe even center field, because we know he can play there. That's just another asset for the Cubs.
And as always, we welcome the people that are watching the video. Please comment what you think about P. Crow-Armstrong and Alexander Canario. We always love to hear your opinions in the comments. And of course, we want to talk to you guys and hear what you guys have to think.